Okay, hi friends, it's Angie. On Passover, first fruits and all that, and many people, including myself in childhood, calling it the pagan festival Ishtar. I'm trying not to be legalistic about that. My grown-up children were really upset when I stopped celebrating Easter and Christmas, and I'm trying not to be a legalist, but at the same time, the evidence is overwhelming that those are not the feasts that we were asked to remember. Passover was, I'm going to do an update, and again, like, what is it, red flag, like don't upload when you're a little bit angry or a little bit off centre, but let's be honest, most people are off centre in what's going on at the moment. So I just thought I'd do some blurting. After being the victim of some pretty damning blurting this morning by Brian Harvey. I shouldn't laugh, it's not really funny. What did he call me? Gaslighting, busy, MI5, MI6, nothing person, nobody, dickhead. And, I shouldn't really grace that with a response. And I do forgive him almost instantly. He has bipolar, he's been heavily targeted for, two and a half decades. And it does become hard to know who to trust. But the sad thing for me, when people like Terry Joyce and Hope Girl and Abraham Christie and now Brian Harvey, when people like that turn and call me MI5 or MI6 or whatever, or a Satanist, the most bizarre accusations, I understand it, but at the same time they dilute the real truth that they carry with evidence. So you could be going, yep, he's got evidence of that, yep, he's got evidence of that, yep, I believe that, yep, that's true, that's true. Then he throws a curveball in like, Angie Power Disney is a dickhead, nothing, no consequence human being, MI6 agent, and that's not true, or even your instinct tells you that's not true, then he's just lost 30% of his credibility, which is a shame. Because all these people that I've named actually have evidence on things that they have properly researched. So I'll let that go. So, and I don't want to dilute what, he's having breakthroughs. He's getting 250,000 hits on TikTok, which is owned by China and which is data harvesting. But hey, look at the days we're in. Just to update, my blog's back up. This is the second year, I think it was a couple of years ago. Occasionally I'm late with paying my annual blog fees. They fall all around my children's birthdays and, shall we say, Passover. And it used to be Mother's Day as well. So I don't always have the money in my account. And so I think a couple of years ago they were all running around doing a jig that my blog was gone. It wasn't. It was just waiting for me to pay my annual fees. And the same thing happened a couple of days ago, so those fees are paid. Thank you to the 2 people that stepped forward and sponsored those fees, sorted back up and running. Let's try and keep it happy. It is sunny, and I have got a little bit of a tan. We've been getting some vitamin D in Ireland, but apparently there's snow coming tomorrow, so that's a bit wacky. What can I update you on over the month? Yeah, I got my first video removed on vaccine disinfo, alleged quote-unquote disinfo. I haven't addressed the COVID thing very much. When it first started to come down, I went and did Facebook Lives once a month or once every couple of weeks, and it's just broken my heart really to see the whole Agenda 21 thing unravel and unroll before our eyes, and heading towards mandatory vaccine passports, and mandatory masking, and the science being flaunted or whatever. It's so predictable that I just haven't gone there. It's like, I think even the least quote-unquote woke people in the world have got to be able to have figured out after a year that something's not right, you know, so, you know, I've had a couple of face downs in the supermarket, but I'm not a litigious person, so even though I could spend the next 5 years taking lawsuits or putting liens on people that absolutely deserve it, it's not my favourite thing to do. Though I probably will with 1 or 2 cases. Yeah, YouTube's been a bit exciting. I mean, I'm still on there. By the way, I wonder if I should just show these. Some people, because I say that my PC, 2 laptops, phone and son's iPad were taken in August 2018, and because it seems nothing's happened, which, you know, the DPP was sent a file in 2020, January, so over a year ago, February, March, April, yeah, a year and 3 months ago, still no response to that. But I've heard people disbelieve that such a thing even happened. So I'm just going to flash, I'll dox myself, but who cares really, I've got nothing to hide. Flash a few letters from the Gardaí in reference to my confiscated property and the delay in getting them back. Letters from the DPP. I don't even know what I'm showing. Who cares? Like, in eternity, who cares? And multiple letters, reference numbers, not crime numbers, because I was never arrested, I was never charged with anything, but certainly correspondence, subsequent, that'll do. I mean, there's a whole, you know, there's a whole bundle, but, you know, just, you can't fix stupid, and in a way you can't really even fix paranoid. People just have to realise for themselves. And something that has happened over the years that I've been online, which is nice, and I don't do it for approval or popularity, thank God, but over the years I do have people contact me, people that are like, you know, gracious, and they say, I'm sorry, I got you wrong, I thought this and this and this, and I've watched, and now I see I was wrong, I'm sorry. And I've had apologies like that from Brian Harvey in the past. In comments, they're still up. He's been commenting on my work for about, I don't know, 4 years, you know, and bigging me up for this and that, and, you know, whatever. But now, today, I'm a non-person, nothing, nobody, nothing burger, because he's a big superstar. And so that wasn't very gracious, but I forgive you. It's all right, I understand. Wilfred Wong. The German side of the family went quiet, probably advised by a legal team. You see, it takes a lot of courage not to act within the legal infrastructure. It takes a lot of courage to do what Baron David Ward has done with liens. It takes a lot of courage, you know, even though the freeman on the land and the common law thing, and there's been lots of sort of false starts with them where people have ended up in jail. And, you know, there's one person wants me to interview him who was arrested for even serving an affidavit, you know, knee-jerk, illegal, unlawful arrest, but nonetheless he's now having to deal with that. So it does take a lot of courage to be on the cutting edge of, if the law isn't asked, then change it, you know. But I don't think we should ever acquiesce and say it's okay. I don't know if you guys have seen those viral videos. The Polish pastor in a church in Canada celebrating Passover on Good Friday, throwing out the police trying to shut the service down. And then the other service, I think the Metropolitan Police were responsible for this, shutting down another service in which the congregation complied, sadly. But, you know, if I was a guard, I would be questioning what I'm doing if I was running in and cancelling, going directly against the word of God, which says, do not neglect the fellowshipping together of the saints, and you're being told otherwise. So look, enough of that. I had a video taken down. It was quite an important MK Ultra documenting video in terms of MK Ultra medical abuse and mad cow disease, or Creutzfeldt-Jakob syndrome. But sadly, because I talked about things beginning with P in the V, it got taken down. But today, the good news is today, not only did I get my website back up and running, I also learned how to upload to my BitChute account, because up until now my assistant's been doing that, and it takes a long time, and he's got his own associate channel now and a life, you know, so it's good for both of us to know how to throw something up on BitChute. So yeah, so Wilfred Wong, do you know, I do respect Nikki Cooper and Anna Johnson, I don't know. But I do respect their work. They have found a trolling academy at Swansea University. And because I've been trolled since 2015 at least, you know, intensely, probably before, but intensely since then, I have learned some of the plays from simple things like they'll come in your chat and say no audio, you know, or you're buffering. I mean, those are the little simple tells. Or they'll be insulting about your hair or your home or your, you know, or if they get really like stupid, they'll call you what they are, whether it be paedophile or scammer or whatever it might be. They'll project. All sorts of trickery they get up to, and so there is a trolling academy. Look it up. So Nikki and T, yes, I do respect their work, and I do recognise the price they're paying. I say to some people, I've aged 20 years whilst being online for a decade, and that's probably conservative, maybe even more than that. And I do frequently say to myself, you know, take a step back, is this worth it? Especially, you know, just like today was a little example. You know, I gave Brian a telling off, you know, but I have absolutely backed up, supported, co-researched and corroborated that young man's testimony for years. And so then when he goes online and calls me a bloody agent and a nothing human being, yeah, it makes you think, for why would I do this? The same, even with Elisa and Gabriel, and I believe Elisa watches many of these videos. I don't know about Gabriel, but even with them, I think, you know what, you're 15 and 14, you're still children really, but kind of old enough, certainly Elisa, to maybe start breaking programming again, maybe start speaking up again. I know it's hard, and I know even youngsters must think, why bother? Nobody listens, nobody believes me, and if they do, they don't rescue me, you know. So I do understand that despair thing. The other thing that T came up with, T and Nikki, was that there is a Hillary Clinton School of Law in Wales as well. Oh my God, Wales is just, no wonder it's the focal point of so much, you know, how the heat came on Hampstead. So maybe there's been a, you know, a diversion to Wales or Devon or both, Bristol, you know, but to be honest, it's everywhere. So whilst I respect Nikki and T's work and do follow it and do appreciate just connecting with them, Nikki clearly is not understanding my position as a Christian, a born-again, spirit-filled, you know, Christian, and I agree that the religion that I try to say I'm in a relationship with Jesus Christ, not a religion. I don't believe in organised religion, but the organised religion side of born-again Christianity and evangelicals in the UK is giving us a bad name, very bad name, disgraceful. And I notice actually internationally people quoting scriptures that no more believe them than the man in the moon. They're just, it's like, because it's easy, the Christian demographic is an easy group to manipulate because faith is a core belief where faith is the substance of things not yet seen. The things believed but not yet seen. So it's easy to con somebody that has got their faith muscle working quite strongly. Because we believe in Jesus and we can't see him or touch him or put our hands in the holes in his hands or feet. You know, so blind faith, that's what they call it. So of course you're going to get charlatans trying to take advantage of blind faith. And I've been following Seeker of Truth and Justice and the two American guys, and they are doing amazing work. And the idea that Charlie Ward, by his own admission, has 55,000 people in his insider group who get to have Zoom calls, each paying 11 euros a month, which comes to an income of about $500,000 a month. It's just madness. It's just insane. So Nikki and I don't agree on Christianity because I think she's very genuine. She just says, I don't understand that stuff, you know. T and I probably connect a little bit more in that arena. And it's like we don't have to agree on everything. Their research, I think, is superb. I mostly wanted to document my own MK Ultra history and abuse and family, the intergenerational side of it. But I branched out into covering other things, and so, but I have to say Nikki and T's research with Wilfred Wong, with the charities and the connections to the royal family, the House of Commons, the House of Lords, people like Belinda Mackenzie and, you know, Brian Gerrish, Sean Atwood, John Wedger. It's disturbing. It is disturbing when I listen to Wilfred Wong, especially when I listen to him on his day 2 presentation at the SRA conference in New York. I could agree with everything he says. It seems so factual and so, I mean, it is factual. I've checked a lot of it, or I'm familiar with a lot of it. But the thought that somebody could be talking the truth with a different agenda is very distressing, and it shows you why we all could become like Brian Harvey and think everybody's out to get us, you know, because these are crazy days. I'm trying not to be despairing. The sun is shining, there's food in the house, you know, the bills are paid, God's in his heaven, all's well with the world, you know. I was going to say nobody died, but Barbara Collier died this month by suicide, allegedly, which is very sad. And a 15-year-old friend of my great-nephew committed suicide. A 51-year-old friend of mine went missing for a few days, although thankfully he's been found alive. Disorientated but alive. So I'm on the fence. Like, the Anchor Hill side of the story sounded very convincing, that the family friend of hers that had grown up with her, and then her father being in communication, and it all checked out. So, but it is distressing and disturbing that I think everybody, out of the 7 still held in jail, 5 have taken a plea deal, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to kidnap. And I think that includes Anchor. Wilfred's pleading not guilty. As a trained barrister, although I don't think he practiced. If he did, it was not for very long. He's a trained barrister. And I think Karen's not pleading guilty. I think the 2 from the church in Surrey, Jubilee campaign connected, And I've seen the Jubilee campaign quoted in a couple of places in a good light. There was a scandal unfolded in Africa in 2011 about witch doctors sacrificing babies for wealth and prosperity, voodoo. And the Jubilee campaign are noted as exposing and complaining about it. And I saw them quoted somewhere else where a child that was due to be sold for big money for organ harvesting or something like that, prostitution or organ harvesting, was rescued. But the lines are blurred. The lines are blurred. I do want, with all my heart, to believe that Wilfred is genuine, and that Anka is genuine, even though if she is, it feels to me like she's taken, I don't know, like if I was a mother desperate to rescue my children, yes, I would try and contact somebody to help me. But whether I'd then throw them under the bus if we got busted, I don't know if I'd do that. I don't know if I'd say they made me do it. If I went looking for somebody to help me, when my daughter got abused, I had a gangster offer to kneecap or kill the abuser. And he could have done it, and probably undetected. I just didn't feel, you know, sometimes I wish I had, but I didn't feel brave enough to have that on my conscience. So I settled for him being flagged across the United States of America. And it wasn't her birthday at 2.5. But this person was flagged as a cross-reference if anybody else came forward with reports of abuse, that his name would come up with the report that had gone in on my daughter. So yeah, so we're in a bit of limbo. We are still in communication with somebody in Wales. I do believe Wilfred's in jail, like I believe Sabine McNeil's in jail. I've had an awful lot of intel come in about Sharon Gale. She put a copyright strike on my channel. YouTube reversed it. Kudos. They reversed it. So, yeah, they reversed it. But somebody has contacted me with shocking first-hand evidence and testimony. Sent me photographs, email threads, evidence, like just shocking, and said that they were willing to give their statement on camera. Again, I know how targeted I am, and therefore my guests can be too. So I'm happy for that to be done with no, you know, or video. Or not at all, but I can't release that level of shocking information without a voice to put behind it. You know, it's just, it could just as easily be entrapment. I don't think it is. It sounds absolutely genuine. The emails, the photos, the evidence trail, the paper trail absolutely indicates that it is genuine, but I need that person to at least come on audio and, you know, give it as their testimony, and I can just validate that I've seen a substantial amount of evidence to corroborate that. Another video, I said the video got taken. So Wilfred Wong, I'm kind of suspending judgment on. I'm praying. I want to believe the best. But what I'm seeing of the born-again Christians putting themselves out on the front line at the moment, and I've been round this roundabout before, with the American evangelicals, many of whom turned out to be Luciferians in disguise and charlatans. So it's not my first trip around the block regarding the hypocrisy of organised religion, whether it's Catholics, Anglicans, or born-again Christians. So I'm trying to keep an open mind there. And I think I do believe that this little boy was being ritually abused, and his mother wanted to rescue him, and it went. I do still believe the rescue thing, but I just am not I'm still on the fence about the adults that apparently stepped forward to do that rescue. But it won't be long till June. I think the court case is scheduled for June. And time is galloping. This is April. Baron David Ward, I wish I'd like to connect with again. There's so many I've put on the long finger just trying to recover from this huge censorship attack last autumn. And also the COVID, like, even though I don't address it and I mostly try and ignore it, it's like watching a movie. It's like being in the Matrix. It's like in Canada, according to reports, which I watched with the, documented evidence, if you fly into Canada and you test positive, you are taken to a facility and kept there, against your will or otherwise. And there have been people, like hysterical in these facilities, like diabetics that couldn't access food or water for 24 hours and things like that. It's just a shocking state of affairs. So people have thanked me for keeping my head, and a lot of keeping my head has had to do with doing Bible studies. Just like this is biblical. A lot of this is prophesied. I've said this on record a decade ago that this would come, this ID and not able to buy and sell, all of that's in the Bible, the mark of the beast and all that stuff. So I'm very familiar with that narrative, but even that was manipulated and imitated, counterfeited. So we're having to discern, are we really in the last days, or is this a psyop, really a psyop, a Luciferian psyop to imitate? And the only missing part, if you take an overview of the end times prophecy, which I've studied for 30-something years, 31 plus 30, maybe more, there's a missing part, because before the shit hits the fan, which you could argue it started to a year ago, at least, there's supposed to be an end-time transfer of wealth, where it says in the Bible, the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just, and it's to bring in the end-time harvest. So I don't buy this Nisara, Jasara, Zim. I mean, I did fall for it. I've got 100 trillion something Zims. Oh my God, 100,000. I don't know what, just stupid Zim notes. And there is. There is a sort of fluttering of the heart whenever somebody says wealth is going to be distributed fairly, and there is no need for hunger and homelessness and poverty. You wouldn't be human if your heart didn't flutter a bit at that. But it's like that old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, even though I keep whipping myself about Bitcoin, and no, I mean, that's a pyramid scheme, but it will probably go to 500,000 before it bursts, so, but it just seems, I miss my mum today, and even though intellectually and scripturally I know Easter and Christmas are pagan, Saturnalia and Ishtar, fertility, sacrifice, yahi things, but it doesn't negate there were high days and holidays in my sort of Catholic upbringing. They were, huge. They were huge. And there's something about rituals and traditions. I don't mean sacrifice rituals, but like, Easter in the Catholic Church. I was in rehab for Easter year before last, and it was just I don't know, it was just phenomenal, it was like, it was just holy. But if you dig under the surface, you find some of the holy things you're doing is actually unwitting nods to the wrong side of heaven. And then when you realise that the rituals that you loved as a child were based on pagan sacrifices, then it makes more sense of the scandals of paedophilia and child trafficking and so on, brutality in industrial schools, and yeah, all of that. It makes sense when you realise if you build on a crooked cornerstone, it's not going to stand, no matter how much incense there is or how much outside beauty there is. And of course everybody loves it when the sun is shining, the daffodils are out, and you have a feeling of coming out of winter. So anyway, let me see if there's anything else I should have covered. Andy and I are due to do a catch-up. Yeah, Wilfred Wong, I'm in suspended animation about that. Although we do need to have a catch-up with our Welsh connection. And it now looks like out of the original 8 arrested, only 2 are pleading not guilty now. Maybe 3, I think 3. I think Karen and the other lady, Christine, I think, and Wilfred are pleading not guilty. And everybody else is rolled over, is what the information I have at the moment. But I'll have a catch-up with Andy on that. Yeah, Sharon Gale, I'm hoping to do this interview with the new witness this week. If she loses her courage, all I can say is I've seen enough evidence to know that even though I primarily fight for, amongst other things, but for women who've wrongly had their children taken from them and put into foster care or forced adoption, I will have to conclude that occasionally the social services do the right thing, and I think in the case in question that would definitely be my opinion with all of the children. So yeah, more to follow on that. This is just an overview catch up. So Wilfred Wong, Sharon Gale, she could be a trap. She could be a trap, I don't know. Thomas Niedermeyer, Walter, he goes by Walter Niedermeyer now, very closely associated with Ricky Dearman. And I just think it's an interesting thing to point out that the 3 biggest consumers of child pornography are the UK, the USA and Germany. So I don't know if any researchers would like to click into that person's IP address and do some research, legal research. That might be helpful. But he's promising, he's offering to finance Sharon popping to Ireland and trying to get me in jail, which is just irony above ironies, just irony. There's a disconnect where somebody can sit, as she does, and diss others, and talk about, oh, you're living off my taxpayer money. And it's like, you've cost the taxpayer $4.5 million in a court case where nobody got held accountable, and haven't raised any of your children at home. I wonder how much that cost the taxpayer. And it's like, I don't know, is it the definition of a sociopath that you don't see the irony of what you're saying? You don't see the disconnect? It's just like, what? What? Anyway, keep it light. Go and cook some roast lamb. Anything else? Sharon Gale, Wilfred Wong. Yeah, I've shown you a few papers. I still haven't had a decision from the DPP. I don't know if I ever will. Maybe the idea was to just intimidate, just to leave me, in a state of, I've never had a criminal record, never had a speeding ticket, never had a penalty point, leave this hang over me. If it was an attempt to silence me, it didn't work. And I hope there's not a long-term plan to just entrap me, but, my life belongs to Jesus. And I'm comforted by the fact that I don't need to go full kamikaze, but nothing can happen to me that's not allowed or anticipated by my Creator. So that comforts me, rightly or wrongly. Yep, time to do some gardening, cook some dinner. And I won't pretend I'm not trying to be super jolly. I do get hurt. I do get hurt by, as do other truthers. Like, somebody was telling me they've lost 2 stone and developed stress-related alopecia. Like, it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. But sometimes the right thing gives you the most peace of mind. And it's just the right thing to do. So, yeah, I'll plough on with my Bible studies. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Website's back up and running. Thank you to those who helped. BitChute, I'm learning to upload. I'm just waiting for the part 2 of Karen Jones to go up there on that. Part 2 and part 3 were banned in the UK. So I'll put those on BitChute. If you can support me in any way, please do. Even like 10, 20 euros. That helps. I would really love another, you know, like the assistant that came on board is doing amazing work, but to be honest, there's enough work for at least one other administrator to come on and help get everything across all the platforms in a timely fashion. So yeah, there's a GoFundMe. I think the links you might have to copy paste. YouTube does all this shadow banning stuff, but you know, you can message me if you want to help. Or you can just persevere and find it on GoFundMe. I think it's Journo Angie. Or is it something like that? Anyway, the link's in the description box. If it doesn't work, copy paste it and you'll find it. But I do appreciate the support that comes in. And yeah, it's spring. Many dates came and went, didn't they? Never have been a 17th letter person, but oh my goodness. You have the likes of Charlie Ward making €500,000 a month from his Insiders Club by his you know, announcement, his own words. And you know, 1st of April came and went. 20th of January came and went. 4th of March came and went. 6th of March came and went. It's time to just really, the thing I would say the most, I've survived. I had a horrendous month's health, but you can tell, I seem to be through the other side of it. But it's really an invitation to get living in the day. You know, if you've been around 12-step programs or whatever, they talk about it one day at a time. It really is like that at the moment, except for I would just encourage people to, when you have a choice to be brave or not, I would say it's possible the days are short. No fear porn, but it's possible we are in the last days. And, you know, it's good to live life like this is the day that I get to choose. That's what my GoFundMe is called, the Daily Choice, a new paradigm, I think. It's like choose each day. I chose today. I felt depressed, to be honest, for most of the morning. I chose to push through, and we can do that each day. And some days we might just choose to do nothing and go and get some vitamin D. Go and get some sunshine. Or go and do something nice with someone you care about. Or go and do something nice for yourself to remind you that being abused online is just an illusion. It doesn't matter. Those people won't be at your funeral. They won't pay your bills, you know. So I think, is there anything else I've missed? I didn't write a list this time, but I think that's enough. And just I appreciate your prayers. I appreciate your support. My backup channel is up to 905 subscribers, which is great. My main YouTube channel that got taken down after over a decade had almost 500,000 views. My blog has almost, we've gone over the 500,000 now, it's heading towards 700,000 views. And my original Facebook had millions of engagements, but that doesn't define who I am. I try and make the right choice each day. What will I do today? Which is the high road. It helps me, and it helps others, especially survivors. So, yep, I hope to have a couple of interviews this week, and take care. God bless. These funny glasses. I probably need to crochet myself another thingy. I feel like there's something else to say. I don't know. Make each day count. Your prayers are appreciated, and try and do the right thing. Just one right thing at a time. Right, God bless.